Hello and welcome to another episode of New Game Plus. I'm Jason, your host, and it is that time of the year again. As always, we're hitting early June, and therefore E3 is upon us. So a lot of the episode is covering all those cool things about E3 that we both love and don't love so much. And then speaking of stuff that, I don't know, we love and don't love, Team Sonic Racing is the review at the very, very end of the show. But for now, something completely different.
I wonder what this game would have looked like had we released it long ago.
You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam! There it is.
We should come up with a meme really quickly for the show. Right now, I'm pitching who kept the Christmas lights on during the apocalypse, but there's got to be, and just Captain Picard like screaming that out. Do you have a meme you want to pitch?
Game is powered by Namco. It's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer. Remember that one?
Oh, all right. It's attractive people running around.
What up, guys? Thank you for having me, EA. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Jesse Wellens, and I am a YouTube creator. So I am here to talk about Need for Speed Payback. If you guys didn't know, Need for Speed Payback,
Everyone do it with me. I said everyone go. Sorry. That is probably the singular best E3 meme out of all of them. I've brought Donald and Megan on to discuss other stuff, but it must be said that that is the... I don't know, out of all the memes, that is still my favorite after all this time. Yeah.
It was such a train wreck at the time. And it's probably like the lasting legacy of that particular E3. Who remembers what happened in E3 like 2010? All you remember is Mr. Caffeine, and then we just watch that for hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
Yeah, E3 is like literally my Christmas. I stay up all night, I don't sleep, and I rock up to work the next day with so much gossip and high on energy drinks. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah, cool. Well, and that is the reason I've got you guys here. So that is the one thing that E3 suffered from recently is that I won't say its relevance is gone, but it's waning because suddenly, there's a leak, and this got leaked, and that got leaked. So it's
What's
either
the
4chan
secret these days?
4chan or retailers. They're the two main sources of leaks.
It blows my mind. Like with a marketing background now, I know those things aren't leaks. That's someone's job to slip it into the media somehow with a press kit and everything they need to launch a press release on every single major news outlets of all time.
I still want to believe that the Canadian Walmart leak of 2018 was real. I want to believe that was a
so
sincere goof. Otherwise, you had to have like
Someone lost their
20
job over that.
developers, all in on this particular game.
I think that is the thing. Sometimes there are legitimate kind of, this person has insider knowledge or this person go on the website 6 hours too early. But I think you're right. I think the cynical prick in me, and after all this time,
It's not cynical. It's just like world experience now.
Yes.
And I think it's the games that know they're not AAA, but they still want their time to shine and get that niche audience attention and not get drowned out by all the big shot stuff we're about to talk about, take away their attention.
And that is obviously the big ones are, we have like lots of consoles to discuss. Now, Sony isn't attending at all. So they've already come.
Which is tradition now.
They've come out 2 months ago and did an exclusive with, I think it was The Wire or The Verve or something like that. And they've come out and detailed a fair bit about their console. All their nonsense about AMD, all their nonsense about that. So we know about that one. I still maintain, I've said this for a long time, that we're going to see like the new Xbox get announced. They kind of have to, and it's going to be a case of Xbox One X becomes the new standard, and it becomes the new.
And like Microsoft is kind of like maintained the legacy of the traditional big E3 reveal because
2.5 hours,
Nintendo has confirmed that they're not going to be announcing any new hardware at E3. Watch me be incredibly wrong at this fact. And with Sony not there, it's who else is going to bring the shiny new next box but Microsoft?
I think it's too early for a Switch 2.0. I think they've just made incredible targets with their sales projections for the Switch, and I think the whole world would revolt if they started to launch a new thing just now. They've got a long way to go.
Like I've said for a long time, I think that it'll need a hardware revision soon because there's a piracy. But I also think that if they're going to do it, it'll be a 2DS version. Then a new Switch won't be for a while. Like I think you're 100% right on that one.
Yeah.
But I guess the big one to discuss is games, because there's a lot of games that have suddenly there's been lots of like little leaks here and there.
Oh,
all
mate.
this different stuff coming
I'm
out.
hanging like seriously on the edge of my seat, and as players know at home how excited we are for Animal Crossing. Please, God. Oh my God, I'm
It's got
going
to
to
be
cry.
this year, because they said this year, didn't they? Nintendo don't lie to us like that. I'm not going to get a please understand. Like, Iwata is no longer with us, so we can't get a please understand. So,
Yes.
But I mean, there are some other stranger ones, like George R.R. Martin teaming up with
Yes.
From Software.
This is massive.
For a game, like
Massive.
So I wonder, is it just going to be like a reskin Dark Souls or something?
Absolutely, it
it's
is.
got- look,
That's
well-
what players want.
Well, George R. R. Martin, like, will he just write all the sort of the decrypted flavor text on all the objects that you pick up?
Yeah.
Is it just going to be like 50-page descriptions of food and boobs?
Yeah. I mean, look, a story of food and boobs.
At least it'll be a beautifully narrative, like in-depth tale where everyone's want to get amongst it. I think people are going to be hanging for that.
Yeah, and like we have had ones so there's a few that have leaked, especially THQ. So THQ, there's kind of a thing of we're going to have 100 games there. Two that have kind of come a little bit to the fore are there's potentially a new Saints Row. Which
This
has
is
been one of
massive,
them.
actually. I don't think anything's massive been dribbled about that since
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, just
Plus,
out of nowhere. And
what else have they got on the table?
Red Faction's the other one.
Red
that just got
Faction,
leaked.
there's apparently a Destroy All Humans
Yes.
as well.
Darksiders?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, like THQ from
ready.
a company that apparently went bankrupt maybe 5-10 years ago. They
Yeah.
are
so
suddenly
they got bought by Deep Silver / Koch Media. Didn't
Yeah.
They? So that's where that money comes
Mm-hmm.
from suddenly. So that's one of those big ones that has been interesting to see the kind of the change and how suddenly that's a thing. There's rumors of new Batman from Rocksteady.
I am excited for that, but I think people are ready.
Yeah.
Like, it's a franchise people actually want to see more content from. But what I'm worried about is actually Bethesda. They just had a massive release with Rage, which has successfully beaten the Borderlands 3 bandwagon
Yeah.
and had its own time to shine, even though it's the same. I'm actually really interested to see if they talk about Elder Scrolls 6 again.
They have to
They have
because
to, yeah.
otherwise,
Like, what else do they have?
Otherwise, it's an hour-long apology letter for Fallout 76.
Yeah.
And there's only so much that
We don't
Todd
talk about the
can.
war time. Jesus Christ. No, and you're right, and that is that thing of, what other topics they have to bring up, and it really does become. We've covered a lot of the big rumors, and there's a lot of ones that you kind of like take it with a grain of salt. But then there's always that one random 4chan rumor you write off and go, that sounds so stupid, as if that's true, and then you're like, that was actually 100% accurate.
Their uncle really does work for Nintendo.
Yeah,
Funny that.
What if any of the big AAAs release another mobile title, kind of like Diablo.
Will Nintendo have Mario Kart?
Yeah.
mobile
Oh, it's in
Gears
beta.
Pop.
Gears Pop. Yeah. And Diablo, how they did that big massive announcement
Oh,
last
yeah,
year,
yeah.
everyone was like,
But you've all got phones.
Yeah.
You've got a phone, don't you?
Yeah.
No,
Look-
I left it outside. We're in a studio here.
yeah.
Megan's excited. I think me and Donna are a bit fatigued on it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what actually comes out and whether any of these rumors actually have any legs to them. Who knows? By the time you watch this, you should hopefully know. Well, or you should be just about to know.
We live in a time where we can not just experience the best of E3 and the worst of E3 through all the news and all the rumors that went through in our last segment, but you can also watch E3 live. If you're in Australia, however, you will have to jump through some hoops. And to sort of get the best ideal E3 watching experience for Australians, I have gathered Meg and Jamie here. Because we in Australia are in a very specific situation, having to wake up at stupid o'clock to watch, aren't we?
Correct.
But the thing is, though, it's not so bad because for the last few years, E3's always kind of coincided with Queen's birthday, at least in Victoria.
Thank
Turns
God.
out Queen Elizabeth is just mad for E3.
Yeah, you
Apparently,
no
who'd have
kidding.
thunk it? Who'd have
Yeah.
thunk it?
My favorite E3 memory is literally waking up at 2 a.m., 6 a.m. for the Xbox and Nintendo conferences and lying in bed with my massive TV in front of me and then like getting so hyped at particular announcements and just being like, yes, and being in pajamas and having like getting hyped for it in the middle of the night.
I'm
It's
so
just
sorry.
the best ever.
Yeah, I distinctly remember there was that one PlayStation press conference where they announced everything, Shenmue, Final Fantasy VII.
next level.
I was
Okay.
living on maybe 3 hours sleep, so
Did
the
you go to
combo
work
of
the next day as well?
No, I had the day off, thankfully. So
Nice.
the delirium of watching that live was
Yeah,
kind of
I
something.
didn't catch that one live because I'm looking at my phone after okay, what's happening, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Shenmue got announced. I'm like, wait, what?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Crazy.
So we talk about the delirium, we talk about the early wake-up times, and for Melbourne, for East Coast Australians, we have to wake up early because the thing starts off on Monday, the 10th of June at 6 a.m. for Microsoft.
Yes.
Later that day at 10:30 a.m. you have Bethesda. Then at midday on Monday you have the Devolver Digital E3 press conference.
AKA the glorified shitpost.
Yes, like we have we basically have lore now for the Devolver press conference, and I am all for it.
To each their own.
Yeah, but then on Tuesday, 11th of June at 6 a.m. you have the Ubisoft press conference. At 11 a.m. that morning you have Square Enix's press conference.
Which I'm hoping is more substantial. Well, they're ready. It's going to be much more substantial than last year's, whatever that was.
Yeah, the schedule's really tight, and personally, my preference to watch these back-to-backers are picking my favorite news journalist platform like IGN, Kotaku, New Game Plus, what's up? And then following them directly on either Twitch or YouTube and watching their live streams straight up, but having Twitter side by side.
Yes, and that kind of gets to kind of like one of the last good things about watching E3 Live, now that it's kind of grown less and less relevant with all the leaks, spoilers, and everything else, is that it is still inherently a social experience. The fact that like everyone converges upon this time to watch this live show, watch it.
The live social commentary is next
It is
level.
one of the few times where Twitter, which is an otherwise bad website, is actually where everyone kind of turns on. We put aside all our petty bullshit to actually have a good time. And the best Twitter happens during E3.
Agreed. Yes.
Like everyone is hunting to latch onto the memes.
The
basically.
memes.
To find the right gift, to find the right slip up. EA used to deliver them by the spades, but then
Do you think it's like live? Like, is it actually? Is there like a 7-second delay,
there
like
would
radio?
be the 7-second delay just in case someone says a swear or something like that.
Yes, please.
Unless you're Ubisoft.
Unless you're Ubisoft, in which case you just let fly.
French AF, baby, French AF.
Yes, but these are, and they are these memes. This delirium is especially great in the early Australian morning, which is even more prevalent on the Wednesday, the 12th of June, where Nintendo still holds its 2 a.m. direct.
So remember when E3 used to have like Microsoft was like 4 o'clock in the morning?
I remember. I had to write those pieces. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was not a good time.
Yeah, so if you want to wake up for Nintendo though, if you just generally want to be up earlier than normal human time, what's your strategy? What was your strategy? What is your strategy?
It depends if I've got work at like 6 a.m. the same day, but usually yes I do, and I just have energy drinks ready to go, and all my colleagues have to suffer for that. I have this is the time of year that is like my Christmas equivalent.
But all your co-workers, however, will be doing the exact same thing.
Correct. I do work at games. Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like that is
Jamie?
absolutely
Yeah,
fair.
that's not so much me because I kind of tell myself that, look, if it's that important, I'll wake up for it. But most of the time, I'm like, okay, I'll just sleep through it.
That's true. I'll watch it on the train on the way
Then
to
I
work.
end up somehow waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to kind of watch. Like last year, I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch EA. Nothing ever happens at EA. I somehow get up at stupid o'clock on a Sunday morning to watch EA. I'm like, I hate myself.
You just love
And
it.
I made good content out of it. Thank you very
The
much.
spirit of the content cave rode through you that
Correct.
morning.
And I never felt so much hatred in all my life.
My top tip, if you want to wake up for like the Nintendo press conference, is you gotta at least have a small nap. At least 3 hours, at least 90 minutes is better than nothing.
Correct. In between, you mean like after you've seen it?
Yeah, like it says as the TAC adds you say, you need your power nap helps you survive.
That's very true.
Thank you, car crashers.
Yes, I can't wait. This year's going to be freaking insane, and I'm really hoping for some really big surprises, knowing that a lot of content has leaked, but if you're prepped with social media, Twitch and YouTube, you should be just fine.
Twitch and YouTube is actually a good point as well, because if you're watching streams, then they're not all going to be reliable. So if YouTube goes down, go to Twitch. If Twitch goes down, go to YouTube.
And follow New Game Plus, I guess, as well.
Yes.
So that's basically your guide to E3 2019 to watch everything live. Meg, James, do you have any last bits of advice for our viewers?
Just enjoy the fun. I have Twitter on the sidelines. Just enjoy kind of the crazy times because it's the only time Twitter is actually good.
Get on it, definitely. Follow those hashtags and get tweeting.
Yeah, also use the hashtags as well, because for the people that quite video games, you want to give them an opportunity to mute, hey? Although I do have one top tip for you, viewer. If you want to find the greatest in E3 coverage, go to newgameplus.tv and follow New Game Plus on our social medias, on Twitter, on Facebook, where we'll be covering and reacting to extensively all these press conferences so you don't have to. Although, if you really want to, well, we've just told you how to.
Now, I don't want you to worry. I am about to say the S word, but we'll get through it. Jamie's here to discuss Team Sonic Racing.
After 7 long years, we finally have a new racing game with Sega and Sumo Digital and Sonic, but it's not a sequel to All Stars Racing Transformed. What we get is Team Sonic Racing, a kart racing game which puts a bigger emphasis on teamwork than ever before. And it's maybe the most interesting thing about it. You see, in this game, if you can lead the race, you can win a race individually, but if your teammates fall too far behind, technically means you don't win, because the game places a huge emphasis on teamwork. Wherein, say, if you're the leader in your team, you actually act as a boost to your other team members. If you have an item you don't want to use, you can throw it back to your other team members. Like, again, it's a lot of really, really smart and interesting ideas for a racing game. But the problem is that the game doesn't really support this. The track design is just kind of there. The story mode is kind of pretty basic and uninteresting. The fact that it's all Sonic is look, it's honestly a bit of a disappointment, but look, I get where they're going from. It doesn't really work if you did with all Sega characters. Honestly, the biggest one with the game is that it has a really lofty goal and a really interesting mechanic. It just doesn't really do anything cool with it. Like, it's kind of a bummer following on the last Sumo Digital Racing game where you had, you know, track design that would constantly evolve over time. You'd have different vehicles. You do all this weird stuff. This is all just cars, and the game doesn't really do much more to support that. It's just kind of a bummer we've waited this long for a new game like this, and it's just kind of there.
Now, it has to be said that Sonic Racing Transformed is still one of my favorite all-time kart races. So I'm interested to see that Jamie didn't enjoy Sonic Team Racing as much as one would hope the game would be, because it has such good. How good was Transformed? Like, it's
It
not
was
just
very good.
Yeah.
Like, it was honestly way better than it should have been.
Yeah, and I guess that is the issue with, like, I see what they're doing for Team, but it just seems like, it seems to me like it's a lot of good ideas just kind of dumped into, I don't know.
It's just like, again, I really wanted to like, because again, Sumo Digital, hey, great stuff. I love that last game. Yeah. And then they have this really cool deal with this team because I love racing games that do weird things with mechanics. And it's a good mechanic. It really is. But just everything about it is just kind of there. Like, at least with Transformed, you had levels that would evolve over time. Yeah. And sure, there was a lot of Sega fan service, and hey, Sonic is what it is.
But that's fine. Like,
that's fine. I get it. Look, that's honestly, the team mechanic works better for Sonic than it does with just random Sega characters. I get that. That's cool. But just here, it doesn't work. And I think that's kind of a bummer because there aren't that many kart racing games these days, and this is one of them.
Well, I guess that is the conversation, is like, have we hit that problem again? I mean, previously when we had all these kart games coming out, and everyone and their grandma was making a go-kart game, we hit that point where it's like, well, cool, what bullshit gimmick can you chuck into your game to try and make it interesting? And 9 times out of 10, you just made it worse. And that kind of left that middle ground of, here are the best kart games of all time, basically, you know, Mario Kart, Crash.
And I would imagine 8 of those top 10 would be mostly Mario Kart, which is crazy.
Yeah, and that is it. Like, it's basically a lot of the Mario Kart games. I mean, Crash Team Racing, as much as I don't like Crash Bandicoot, it's still a good game. Blur. Sonic Transformed.
Yes.
Like, you know, like there were only it is that thing of, you got to watch that your gimmick doesn't become just a gimmick.
I mean, the reason why I kind of approached this genre a little bit differently, a little bit more, because they're arcade games. Yeah. Like, you don't see many arcade racing games these days where even games like Forza Horizon, which are ostensibly meant to be arcadey, they still have
semi-real. They're semi-pro.
There's still a basis in realism. So it's like, it's kind of great that we have this and had the fact that we're getting a new Crash game. A remake of Crash Team Racing, sure. But it's still a new Crash game.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, I mean, in the heyday of the arcades, I mean, you know, you had the San Francisco Rush, Cruising USA, like all these different fun style games that do it. And you still have some of them now, Fast and Furious, blah, blah, blah. But you can't really transition that across into AAA development because the genre's gone so far beyond. If you were to release a game like that, people would say, well, why would I buy this over a Forza Horizon?
I mean, that's what Blur was. Like,
Yes.
hey, here's Blur. Here's a game with realistic with real cars and mostly real tracks, but also you've got items.
Yeah, it's basically Mario Kart.
It was advertised as a grown-up Mario Kart. It's like, okay, that's dumb. I think it's really stupid, but it was a great racing game.
It was fantastic.
And
yeah.
nobody bought it.
Yes, and that is the saddest story because that was Crystal Dynamics, wasn't it?
That
not
was Bizarre Creations.
Bizarre Creations. That's right.
Rest in
Crystal Dynamics,
peace.
yeah. Ripping rips indeed. And I guess the other one that kind of gets mentioned and we kind of forgot is Burnout. But even they're kind of struggling at the moment. You know
There
what I
has
mean?
not been a Burnout game. Like, the last Burnout game we got was a re-release of Paradise.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, Burnout Paradise is a great video game. Burnout went out with a bang.
Yes.
But I would love a new Burnout game where it is just a pure racing game, because I still play Revenge on my Xbox One because it's backwards compatible. And that game is still pretty freaking rad.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
I'm a 2 purist, and I've always been a 2 purist. But like, it was one of my favorite things to do was just chuck on Burnout 2, do the maps over and over again, and just try and beat my time.
And
like,
it's still a good racing game. Like, even with all the dumb bullshit they added, like, it's still a good, solid, fun racing game. Like, that's something we miss. Like, everything else is now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Forza. I love GT. I love, well, maybe not Project Cars and the sort of Corsa so much, but I love racing games. And the fact that we don't see many of these kind of arcadey racing games anymore.
You're either a super sim or you're a half sim, but there's no silly arcadey ones unless you start going to Mario Kart, and then you're like...
And then you pay $2 for a race and like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, pretty much. So, Jamie, thank you very much for that. And that is the end of another television show. Don't forget to check us out at newgameplus.tv, all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere, at New Game Plus TV. And we will see you guys next week.